And let's go. Okay, Wendy, the recording is in process. Today is November 30th. The year is 2023, Wendy. And whoa, look out. The Alabama Auburn game does not disappoint, Wendy.
I want to make sure everybody understands something. I died 4.5 times. I know you're thinking half. I died 4.5 times on Saturday. I don't know what goes on down at that field, but this was absolutely the craziest, best game of the whole entire year. One, I couldn't believe we won it. I'm not even sure we deserved to win the game. I don't know if we played that well, but I'm going to tell you something. We beat Auburn, y'all, and we beat Auburn in the last 43 seconds.
Wendy, it's an unbelievable thing. It was an unbelievable day. And if you haven't listened to this show, I'm Trey. This is Wendy. This is my sister. We get on here and talk about SEC football. We're both Alabama fans. A lot of our friends and family listen to this. We definitely appreciate it. Also, I do put this out. This goes out on YouTube, but I also put this out on our podcast, Trey and
Yes.
Wendy, I agree with you. It was one of the craziest games. And let's just talk about Alabama Auburn, Wendy. So Alabama ends up winning the game, 27-24. Wendy, Alabama comes out and we look like we're about to blast this team off planet Earth. We go
Looks
up
so good.
nothing, and the play gets called back, and then everything goes sideways realistically from that point. Wendy, tell me as you're getting ready for the game, going through the game, tell me your thoughts.
Well, I mean, where it all went downhill for me, the first 3 or 4 drives, we looked like a professional football team. Like, we looked so good, so efficient. Everything was clicking. Then this penalty gets thrown. And y'all, I'm an Alabama fan, and we ripped the guy's head off. Like, that's what happened. We should have
Okay, so you're talking about the kickoff. You're talking about the kickoff when we kicked it off the second time, and Alabama's guy literally rips this guy's head off.
Yeah.
And they do not call a penalty.
Well, they did call a penalty. They called it on Auburn. This is where all this stuff went downhill for me. It was a bad call on the refs. We should have gotten the call. We should have taken the 15 yards. No big deal. It was obvious, right? But from that point forward, it felt like the refs were trying to make everything up, right? So we go from what they brought back 2 touchdowns on us, I think, between the game, or was it 3 at that point?
Yeah, well, the one was a really big one. We were about to go up 14-0. They brought that back from a holding call that, I mean, come on, man. And then the other one we got called back. I mean, the guy was past the line of scrimmage, I think.
Yeah, he was.
Yeah, it did get squirrely. Then it was 7-7, and then here we go. We're off to the races, and Jordan Hare was rocking.
It was rocking. It was rocking. And let me tell you something. I said it last week. Gus Malzahn. I'm not good. Trey. He's like Gus Malzahn 2.0 anyway. But I'm sorry, Hugh Freeze. Sorry, Hugh Freeze. But I'm going to tell you something. This guy's got his number, but the fact that Auburn went and lost to a really, decent New Mexico State and then came out and played like that against Alabama, we couldn't stop the run. We couldn't. Here's what's crazy. We knew he was going to run. They couldn't throw the ball. Like, they literally couldn't throw. And we could not figure out a way to stop the run. But when we did, we got a penalty. If we figured out how to stop them, we got a penalty and they got a first down. It was like that the whole game for me, it felt like.
Yeah, and the one that kept frustrating me, Wendy, was that quarterback running the football in the second half. Yeah. I mean, I think everybody known to mankind on planet Earth knew that Thorne was about to run the football, and he still ran the football. I mean, it's like, I'm not sure that I care if he throws a touchdown pass. Just don't let him run the ball anymore.
Right.
That was getting on my nerves. Auburn does this. Auburn does a lot of this stuff where they kind of overload one side of the field and kind of get you out of position on the other side of the field. They run a lot of misdirection type stuff. And let me tell you something. They tried to run the ball. I mean, they ran the ball 42 times in the game, and that was their game plan to try to win the game. And they did get in position, Wendy, to win the game. However, Alabama just did not quit, Wendy. And let's talk about the last play that everybody's talking about. That was the most epic play known to mankind. 4th and 31, Jalen Milroe throws a laser beam to Isaiah Bond. Wendy, what were you thinking? What was going on?
So I left mom's house at the third quarter. I had given up. Y'all, I am that fan. I was like, we're not going to win this game. Everything's against us. The refs are against us. Everybody's against us. It's at Auburn. The Indian voodoo that went on down there 1,000 years ago has come to fruition, and we ain't winning this game. So I get home, 11 minutes left, and I'm pacing, and I just got to a point where I'm just like, 4 minutes left. We've got to punt it to them. We're probably not going to get the ball back. Like, we're going to have something. They've run so efficiently on us. And then he muffed the punt. And that's when I thought, okay, maybe, right? I get back into the game and I'm like, we've got this. And then we proceed to get 47,000 penalties in the last 3.5 minutes of this game. I mean, I know I'm exaggerating, but that's what it felt like. I don't think there was any point under that 4 minute that I actually thought we could win the game. I felt like maybe he'd gotten discombobulated, our quarterback. I felt like Milroe had maybe just the pressure. You know, we just kept getting penalties. Now we're back 5 yards. Now we've lost the down. But, dude, he just stood there in that pocket. And what was Auburn doing? They only put 3 guys on him. Trey, they gave him a minute and a half to throw the ball. Like, it was, that part was crazy. Thank you, Auburn. But that was a little weird play call for me. And then he just throws it. There's Isaiah Bond hanging out in the back. And he's like, I'll catch it. Let's go win a ball game. And I'll tell you what, that stadium got quiet. That stadium got quiet when that happened.
That's what I was thinking. When we got the muff punt, I was like, all right, we got it. And then we get 1st and 7 from the goal line. And I'm like, all right, we are going to score a touchdown. Like, this is where it's at. We're going to push it in. And then mass chaos ensues. We have another snapping issue. Milroe can't decide whether to run it or throw it, which I think was a theme a lot of the game.
100%.
You know, I think he got kind of mixed up a little bit, not knowing whether to run it or throw it. And when he let the ball go, I said he threw it out of bounds. I was like, There's no doubt this guy's just thrown this ball out of bounds. It's over, and we're just going to have to live with this result. And this is where we're at. He catches the ball. I don't know what my reaction should have been, but I was like, he caught it. And then I started thinking, where's the replay? Did he bobble it? Was he out? Did he get pushed out? I mean, you're looking for anything to overturn this, and then they don't. And then, of course, they go for the extra point. And I'm like, well, listen, if Auburn blocks this and runs it back, that's going to tie up the game. He kicks it through, and I'm like, okay, now we're up 3. Now I'm like, do we kick it out of bounds? Do we squib kick it? What do we do? Like, just anything until this game was over. Wendy, was the most unbelievable thing, and I don't know why I do this, but, like, I was wearing a sweatshirt. We had a fire going and all this other stuff, but I start wanting to take my shirt off, my sweatshirt. I'm feeling bound up. Take all this stuff off. Did we see what we just saw, Wendy? And I ain't gonna lie, it made that night and the rest of the weekend a lot better.
It was amazing. It was amazing. But Trey, you're right. We can't do this against Georgia. He did. He got discombobulated early, and he went right back to this. I'm not going to run it. I don't know if I need to throw it. He was hesitating. You know, when they snap him the ball and he kind of holds it for a second, and I hate that. And it's like, that's what he was doing at the beginning of the season. And we were still able to pull some of these weaker opponent games out. We can't do that against Georgia, and we almost couldn't do that against Auburn. But I want to make sure everybody understands something. Auburn played a heck of a game. I mean, they really, really did. I think that there were multiple missed calls on both sides of the ball, but the biggest, Trey, and I'm going to bring it up, and I don't want to hear anybody's crap about it. The biggest one is where the guy clapped, the Auburn guy clapped on that muffed snap at the end of the game. There was an Auburn player that was clapping, and that's a penalty all day long. And I think that's why that's what happened with the snap on that. And Trey, that could have been the game. I mean, it could have been the game. It wasn't, thankfully, but there were just multiple things kind of right there at the end that I just felt like didn't get called. That's just my personal conspiracy theory on it.
Wendy, are you going to say, I mean, this has been your theme with Auburn all year. Did Auburn lose the game but still win the game somehow?
No, Auburn, all I know to tell you is. Do you think Auburn
lost, or do you think Auburn still won but lost?
I'll say this, if I was an Auburn fan, I'd be really excited. I mean, if my coach in the first year can figure out a way to almost beat Bama, I mean, they were 43 seconds away from beating the University of Alabama. They really were. I mean, it made me a little happy to see him crying, but I kind of did feel bad because it reminded me of the kick six, and we kind of felt the same way. We thought we had it, and then all of a sudden it was just over. Like, the game was over, and we actually did not win that game. So for me, Trey, I don't know if we played that well. I'll tell you this. We can't play like that and beat Georgia. That much I know.
All right, let's talk about it, Wendy. We're going to get into it, and now it's down to the nitty gritty, and we've got the Georgia Bulldogs and the Alabama Crimson Tide playing in the SEC championship. Wendy, it's going down on Saturday, and I mean, hide your kids, hide your wives.
Hide your wives. Yep.
Hey, it's about to go down over in Atlanta, Wendy. Tell me your thoughts on the Alabama Georgia SEC championship game.
I go back and forth so much with this, Trey. I will say this, though. The fact that we beat Auburn and the way that we beat Auburn has made my season. I can say that. I believe that we can beat Georgia. I just think we have to play perfect. I think that Millie has to wake up on Saturday morning and just decide to play confident from the beginning to the end, right? Because I feel like when he's playing confident, we win ball games. The other thing I think that's really going to help us is that it's in Atlanta. I think you're going to have just as many Alabama fans as Georgia. So I don't think it's going to feel like a home field advantage for Georgia. Does that mean I think we'll be kind of evenly matched there? I do feel like Alabama fans will be much more into it, more so than they have been in the past. I think that we all know that we've really got to win this game. Bottom line, though, Trey, is Georgia's not lost a game in 2 years. I mean, that's pretty hard to do.
Wendy, hold on there, Wendy. One of our best episodes we've ever had on here, for whatever reason, is Georgia the new king of college football, Wendy? And you basically came over here at the end of last year and said there's no way, no how that Georgia is the new king of college football, Wendy. No. If Georgia beats Alabama, will you concede that Georgia is the king of college football?
One question. How many natties does Alabama have total?
Total, Wendy.
20, 19, 16?
Wendy, come on.
When Georgia, no, I don't care. When Georgia has as many as me, they can be the kings of college football. You're not going to be the kings of college football. I'll tell you, a three-peat is impressive, but not against TCU.
Wendy, we're not talking about who they play. Wendy, we're not talking about for the 14 lifetimes. We're talking about right now, today.
Are they counting their crappy TCU win? Is that a win for a natty? Are y'all counting that?
That's who they had to play, Wendy. They didn't pick who they played.
Guess what? That's a trash team. And it was an easy win. So no, they're not out there having to play the Ohio State and Michigans of the world in the national championship.
The game before they beat Ohio State.
But they won a national championship off TCU. They get 4 in a row, I might talk about it, but a three-peat ain't gonna do it for me. But let me say this: I'm rooting for Georgia if they go to the championship game, because I'm an SEC fan and I want the SEC to dominate every year.
Wendy,
I don't know. I'm just telling you.
It's a mild subject, but I mean, right now you have to give Georgia is the king of college football as we speak right now. Alabama's got a chance to go in and end their streak. I still think Georgia would probably end up getting into the end of the playoff, but when it's going to be a big game, and this is kind of what I was thinking too on this game for Alabama. Alabama is kind of built for Georgia. And I think that's what we were seeing earlier in the year. We have bigger offensive linemen. Obviously, we've got a really good defensive line. But Alabama, athlete for athlete, should match up decent with Georgia.
Right.
And I think it's given, some of these smaller defensive ends, different defensive teams have given Alabama some trouble with as big as we are. But these are the games I think Nick Saban has built our team for. Obviously, it helps in all the games.
Right.
But this is a game where you're not really you're not really at a disadvantage really anywhere across the field.
Right.
So I look for a really good game on the turf. It's going to be fast. It's going to be going. The Alabama team has some really good players relative to, you've heard me say this before, kind of dog-type mentality.
Yes.
I mean, they're a little bit grittier. So this is going to be a fascinating game, Wendy, and I'm just excited to see the game. I think Alabama might have a chance to pull it out. But
I just think they've got to play perfect. I think they've got to play perfect. And I think we need a really good officiating game.
Yeah.
I think it needs to be fair. I'll be interested to see how that kind of starts off and ends, because honestly, for the college football playoff, it's way better if Georgia wins. There's less yang, there's less talking about it. Alabama wins. I really think in order to even have an opportunity to get in, I think we've got to beat Georgia badly. I'd love to see us beat Georgia by 14, 21 points. I just think they're so good. They've got these tight ends. Their quarterback has a lot of confidence for a first year. He doesn't seem to get too razzled. But let's all remember, Auburn hung toe-to-toe with good old Georgia.
Yeah, but that was at Auburn.
Missouri.
Hold on. I'm with you. But Georgia still won the game. I mean, Georgia hadn't been tested all year long. I mean, yeah, they had to make a little drive against Auburn, whatever. Yeah, they had to hold off Missouri. Have you ever thought Georgia was going to get beat this year at any point in time? If you thought they were going to get beat? No, that's the point. All right, listen, Wendy, Bob, our stats guy.
Yes.
To remain anonymous, he has come up with a big stat this week, and he says Alabama has been the underdog in 3 games since 2010. Wow. Since 2010, Alabama's been underdogs in 3 games. Saturday will be number 4. All underdog games have been against Georgia. Nick has won 2 of the previous 3 against Georgia. And by the way, since 2010, Alabama has been favored in 190 out of 193 games.
No
so the
way.
Alabama Crimson Tide, the only time Alabama has been an underdog is against the Georgia Bulldogs, winning their underdogs again this week. Saban's 2 for 3 on that. Bob was playing pool last night. He was not playing good pool, I think, with him, Frank.
Right.
Him and his boy, Frank. But, all right, Wendy, let's get on this. Wendy, let's admit somebody into the chat.
Okay. I need somebody also that's not just going to sit here and praise Georgia.
I'm not praising Georgia.
You're praising Georgia. It's like you want Georgia to win.
You better figure out how to beat them, Wendy, and nobody's beat them yet. So,
I'll remind you, the last team to beat them was us. And like I said, I mean, I'm not just going to.
Hey,
Mom, what you doing?
Waiting on to come on the podcast.
All right. Well, tell us your feelings. What's going to happen on Saturday?
Well, hold on, Mom. Wendy, we got to get this better set up because if people are listening to this on our podcast, they can't see this. If you can see this right now, Mommy B is back on the scene. It looks like we've got the technical difficulties worked out. Mom, we're going to get right to it. We got 2 things. Tell me what you were doing against the Alabama for the Alabama-Auburn game. What were your thoughts? What were your feelings as Milroe throws 4th and 31 to win the game?
Well, I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe it. I was screaming, jumping up and down. First thing I did Sunday morning was to check to see if my eyes had any broken blood vessels in them.
Mom, I was telling Wendy, for whatever reason, I started feeling like I was getting bound up. I started taking off my shirt. I didn't take off my pants, but I did take off my shirt. I don't know why that's a reaction. You did leave your shirt on, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. So let's get into this. Let's get into this, Mom, real quick. Alabama, Georgia this week. What's going to happen? Tell it to us straight. What's up? Alabama plays Georgia in the SEC championship game. What are you doing? What's up?
Well, we're going to Wendy's. We can beat Georgia. And I'll tell you, usually when we have a game like we had Saturday, we come back just rolling.
Right. You're right.
Exactly what I'm expecting this week. But I will tell you something, Wendy and Trey. That witchy woo you're always talking about down in Auburn, that was in full swing Saturday.
Yeah.
I thought about that. I thought Wendy talks about that. But I'll tell you, I truly believe we can win. We're going to come back. I hope every coach for Alabama has a broken blood vessel. Every one of them, because it's not dangerous, I don't think.
Yeah, that's what Coach Saban said. It's not dangerous.
So, but I hope J-Mill, I hope he was running with a hesitancy Saturday. And the few times he didn't, he made great yardage. And I hope that's taken care of. He is young. It was Alabama-Auburn. It was in that witchy-woo plane down there.
Yep.
And so that's what I think.
What do you think the score is going to be for the Georgia-Alabama game?
Well, I'm not going to say a lot to a little.
Okay.
Like I did last week.
Okay.
I was very wrong. I think we'll beat them. I think we'll beat them by 14 points.
Really?
Whoa.
Okay.
That's how confident I am in my Tide.
There you go.
All right, Mom. I love you. Good to see you on here again. And listen, I think what we're going to try to do, we got one more person to bring in. What we're going to do, I think we might try to get up Saturday, and I might try to send this link out to everybody. And we might get up Saturday morning, and whoever wants to pop in here, we do this on Zoom. So whoever wants to pop in here, we might do that again. So be looking for that Saturday morning. I love you.
Okay. I love y'all, babies.
Roll Tide.
Roll Tide.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye, babies.
Bye. Wendy, there goes Mommy B.
Well, I'm sad because she's the only Alabama fan left. I mean, you're over here shouting about Georgia. Don't you think they're the leaders of college football? Don't you think they're the best that's ever lived? No, I don't. In fact, I'm so mad at you right now, I could hang up on the Zoom call. Like, we were going to do a Zoom and we're all Alabama fans, and you're going to sit here and talk about Georgia taking over college football. We've won 197 national championships.
Wendy, the people they've lost one game in 6 years, Wendy.
They lost it to me. They lost it to me.
So what? I mean, what?
They're going to lose another one to me. I'm going to get on my podcast and be like, well, don't you think Georgia's deserves to be in that talk? No. I think that Georgia's got my old coach, Kirby Smart, that used to be the defensive coordinator at the University of Alabama, and he learned everything he knows from good old Nick Saban. So if they're winners, it's because of me anyway. You heard me? It's because of me. They're winning because they use all of our plays. I don't want to hear it.
Let's bring in the last guest of the day, and let's see if we can get him in here.
Yeah, he likes Alabama.
We have got Nacho in the house.
Yeah. Nacho, remind everybody who you cheer for. Trey's become a Georgia fan overnight. All he sat here the whole entire time, whole entire podcast, is talking about how good Georgia is and how they've taken over college football. So we're glad to have you because I need another Alabama fan here to talk about how Alabama is going to win the game.
Well, look, Alabama is going to win the game, but Georgia has taken over college football. There's no doubt. There is no doubt. Look, they've been undefeated for 2 years. How can you argue against it? They have taken over. Now let's go take it back. I mean, that's where it's got to go.
Take it over. Tell me who they played this year. Tell me their schedule this year. If we're going to get into Georgia, tell me who they played this year.
Their schedule's garbage, but they still play in the SEC.
They played the weak side of the SEC schedule this year.
They did, but the weak side of the SEC is better than,
I agree. I don't disagree with that. Well,
so,
Well, I guess then you're right. We need to go take it back. But I'm still saying that we need to be talking about how good Alabama is, how we match up, like Trey said, and what Milroe's got to do to win this ball game. Like, what does he got to do?
He's got to run the ball when he doesn't have a pass.
Okay.
He's got to use his legs in order for us to be successful.
Okay.
Georgia's rush defense is really good, but they give up a lot of 10-yard runs.
Right.
They really do. So if Milroe, when the play breaks down, if Milroe can take off, that's our bread and butter for this game. Okay. That's the secret weapon. That's how we win. Take care of the football as always.
Yeah, no, you're exactly right. And the running quarterback gives any defense a problem. I mean, look at Lamar Jackson in the NFL. Look at all these quarterbacks over time that have beaten Alabama. And it has been a mobile quarterback. It is the great equalizer. Pound for pound, I think Alabama can hold on to it. But I mean, you're going to have to go out and win the football game. And I don't think it's going to be easy. Do I think Alabama can pull it off? I do. But it's going to be tough. I mean, I'm kind of at a loss for what I'm trying to think here because my mind's a little bit scattered.
Can we hit the brakes for 2 seconds? And so now I can both see both your faces. And holy, we won that football game.
Listen,
we just blew right into Georgia. Like we didn't.
I know, and I'm so sorry.
We didn't even talk about what happened.
Let me tell you something,
What about
Chris?
the Alabama Auburn game? Come on.
It was unbelievable. I was watching it with my sisters, as you know. There were some Auburn people that showed up as fans. You know, my wife's an Auburn graduate.
Oh, that's right.
And so, yeah, I blacked out when it happened. Like not from drinking,
right?
Although I was drinking whiskey, but I blacked out when it happened. Like I looked at my wife the other day and I said, "What did I do when Alabama won?" She's like, "I don't know. I left the room." You know, when the catch happened, I was like, "What did I do?" So I still, I'm still trying to put it together, but I went crazy. I know that.
Right. Well, Trey took off his shirt and started running around the house.
Yeah, as you should. That's exactly right.
Right. I think that the craziest thing about it for me, Chris and Trey, was that I just didn't expect the game to go that way. So we're playing in this game, and I just thought we were going to kill them. And I thought the first half might be a little close, but there was no way they would be able to keep up with us in the second half. And then all of a sudden, they're winning, we're winning, 1 point, 2 points, missed field goals. And I'm like, oh my gosh, we're going to have to get on here next week going in to play Georgia. We've lost to Auburn. Season's over for me at that point that we've lost to Auburn. You know.
Oh, no doubt. No doubt. It was.
But did you see the hesitancy? Like, I thought Milroe just played very hesitant in this Auburn game, especially with the run, like you were saying. It didn't feel like he was making snap decisions really well.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think he was caught looking ahead a little bit. I think
what Trey said.
We'll never know, but my guess is in his brain, this is not going to be difficult. He's worried about Georgia. And I think it caught up to him. That's the rat poison. That's what it is. That's why Saban says that. So, all right. Sorry to pump the brakes and slam.
No, we had to. I agree.
We have to. Unbelievable play.
Unbelievable game.
Yeah, but you find a way to win the game. I mean, look, if we go up 14-0, we're about to blow this team out, and it's no contest, and it's over. And that's the thing about that momentum. And we've had some penalties all year that have really hurt us with the momentum. Yeah. And I know Chris on our text thread that people mention it all the time. It's like, how many touchdowns have we had taken off the board? I mean, my God, we would have had 100 more points this year if we have not had penalties on scoring plays.
Right.
And a lot of them were long runs. A lot of them were long rushes, just stupid tic-tac plays. So
we have got to get that. We have got to get that cleared up. Chris, we're going to jump off here. I'm glad you got on here. I do have a question. I don't know if you can answer this, but people are talking about, after the game, I mean, I ain't going to lie. I was digging through the golf bag. I was trying to find a dip. I was trying to find something. I mean, it was just I couldn't sit still. I did put my shirt back on. That was something. But somebody's talking about looking for a baseball. I don't. What is that referring to? Do you know?
Looking for a baseball?
Looking for a baseball.
I've heard of looking for an 8-ball, but never a baseball.
Somebody was looking for a baseball. Somebody's looking for a baseball. I don't know what they were talking about. I got a kick out of it. It was a little bit of a mystery to me. All right, let's do our score. Oh, Chris, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to send out this link, this Zoom link, to everybody that kind of are on all these text threads. And I'm thinking about Saturday morning. Sending this link out and coming on live. Would you be willing to do something like that?
Oh, absolutely. Let's do it.
I think that would be a lot of fun. I think it'd be a lot of fun.
All right, we're going to send it out. Let's just go ahead and talk about the Georgia game. Wendy, I think Alabama wins the Georgia game, but I really think, golly, I'm thinking it's just going to be this low-scoring game, but there's still going to be points scored. Wendy, I think Alabama wins the game 24-22. 24-22, Alabama. Wendy, what's up?
Isn't that the Auburn? No, Auburn was 20. Okay. I'm going, I think a high-scoring game. I think it's going to kind of go toe-to-toe. I'm going to go 34-28, Alabama. 34-28, Alabama.
Mine was going to be 34-31, so you're right on the money, Wendy.
Yeah. Trey, I see it being a high-scoring game. I think it's going to go a lot like LSU. I think it's going to have to be they're going to score. We're going to have to score. And if we don't score with them, we're going to lose a ball game. That's what I think. So
I agree. Barry and Jacob, go Dogs, except for this week. And if Georgia does win, Wendy will consider Georgia the king of college football. I promise you that.
Well, we'll have to talk about it at length.
All right, guys. See y'all later. Roll Tide.
All right,
Roll Tide. Let's go. Roll Tide.
Let's go, Bama.